What's up, everybody? This is Rob Shack. So I am doing a bonus. Today's video is a bonus of the new player starting guide of cars that I totally forgot about or forgot to mention until after I'd recorded the video. So I wanted to give a shout out to Mr. Smash Boy for calling out two of them that I totally forgot. One of them I did remember, but it was still hilarious. So thanks for that. Um, so the three cars that I forgot. The first one, I forgot that there's an international A license in this game. So I forgot to mention that when you win all the golds with the international A license, you end up winning the Aston Martin Vanquish, which is a car that I've won in a totally different way. But can't remember how it is. Okay, so yeah, the Vanquish is a car that you win. They give it to you multiple ways because it'd be really unfair if you won that car in only through the license and that was it, because that's like the international A license is very, very, very hard to get all golds on. It's possible, and it's like it's not like if you have like a my controller's old and broken a lot, so that's part of the reason why it would be impossible for me. But if you have the patience, totally worth it to get the Vanquish. If you go through the actual tune up there, it has about like 700 horsepower. I actually did not pay attention to how much it just said, but I can actually go into vehicle settings here. I'll be able to see. But the car is good. It's got a pretty good amount of power. 782 horsepower is what it has. But that's it fully tuned. Of course, there's a little bit of a variation on that depending on how you tune the car and how you modify everything. But mine has about 782. Um, it's a good car. It makes me think of James Bond video games on the PS2 because of the fact that you drive the Vanquish sometimes in those games. It's a very good car. It's not so. It's the thing with the Vanquish. I wouldn't put the Vanquish above the GTSR concept because of the fact that the horsepower of the GTSR is really good, but also the Vanquish is pretty heavy. It's a pretty heavy car because Aston Martins are more for luxury and they're going for style as opposed to the GTSR is kind of a concept car and isn't really. It's basically a road homologated version of a race car. But the Vanquish is just an actual road car. It's a luxury road car. Looks good, sounds good. It's a very powerful car. But the only thing that I think I hinder it by, I wouldn't put it above even the Z concept, in my opinion, just because of the fact that the Aston Martin is so heavy. But the Aston Martin does have the benefit of being able to enter into this British Cup. Although sometimes I didn't actually check this, but I'm pretty sure with this race, it actually only allows British cars. Some of the car manufactured races in this game don't have an actual stipulation or restriction. Like the American Championship in this game and the A license, you don't even actually need an American car. You just are only racing against American cars. But I think with the British All-Star Championship, the one I'm in right now, you actually only can have British cars. So the Vanquish does have that going for it. So if you want to like, if you're really early in the game and you have the International A and S license and you manage to get all golds and get this Vanquish, you'd be doing pretty good. And that is a unique lineup car to get. Like you'd actually get a prize card that's pretty late in the game, very early. So the Vanquish does have that going for it, as opposed to the Z concept doesn't really have a unique race to it. So Vanquish has that going for it, and I mean, apart from just the style of it, it's fantastic looking. It is just a little bit heavier, and it's a little underwhelming in terms of its power, because it's not a turbocharged car, I'm pretty sure. It's naturally aspirated, and when with the NA tune-up, you tend to not get as high of horsepower. It's still a really good car and it gets really strong and everything, but you'll notice that if you compare NA cars to turbo cars. Generally, the turbo cars have a little bit more power when they're at their max tune. And that's not, of course, that's not all the way across the board, but it just seems like you have that's the thing I've just kind of noticed as I've played this game a lot. I do really like the Vanquish, and I think I mean, obviously it's easier to get the Vanquish than to get the GTSR, because I'm pretty sure the GTSR is the S license tune up, like the all golds in the S. So it would make sense that the Vanquish is a little bit slower. So the Vanquish would be easier to get than the Viper. But to me, in my opinion, if you're going all the way and getting all golds, it would be easier to get the Vanquish. So the Vanquish would be easier, but I still would put. I mean, if you're gonna go all out for that and get all golds, you might as well keep going and get the Viper too, because you're already doing that. I couldn't even do the International B. It was like impossible for my old controller to handle. I just couldn't turn as fast as it needed me to, and I just was like, well, all right, we're just gonna stop here. But the Aston Martin does have the advantage of being usable in a one make, or well, I guess it's really one nation manufacturer race, and the Z doesn't really have that. The Z is lighter, but the Aston Martin has more power. I can't remember their top speeds. I'm pretty sure they were very similar in top speeds. You can go back and look at my max speeds video to see for sure. I don't remember either. But I knew they were both really powerful. I think the Z actually had a little bit more of a top speed just because it was lighter. But don't quote me on that. You can go see my other videos on Gran Turismo. I have a bunch. So I like the Vanquish though. Again, I've played a lot of 007 Nightfire, and I think it's also in Everything or Nothing. So two very classic PS2 games, and the Vanquish is in both of those, I believe. I know it's in Nightfire, and I loved 007 Nightfire. So I'm like, all I think about is James Bond when I drive this car. It's stylish, it's great, and of course it's going to beat the crap out of every car you buy at the beginning of the game. So if you have the time, definitely get the Vanquish. All right, so the next car that you get is if you get all rally golds, which clearly I did not do because all bronzes, baby. If you get all the golds in the rally license, you end up winning the Impreza Rally Car Prototype. This car is actually pretty awesome. I like the style of it. It's got 549 horsepower in my playthrough here, fully tuned. Rally cars are a little bit hard to tune up fully, but um, this is the only newer one. The other rally car they have in this is the 99 one, but this is the '01, I guess, technically, Impreza Rally Car Prototype. This car is really good to me. I personally, I like it a lot. I think I like it more than um, well, actually, no. In terms of style, I like the 90s Impreza a lot. And then I jump and like the '07 Impreza, but obviously that's not going to be in this game. But the Impreza Rally Car Prototype from 2001 is actually pretty fast. It's one of the fastest rally cars when you fully tune it. They all kind of have the same power, but the Impreza Rally Car Prototype is a little bit of, I think, in my opinion, it's a little bit more. It's like in my opinion, it's the best rally car in the game, like, or at least car that's when it's untuned has about 290 horsepower. Because most rally cars and this little MR2, the Autobacks MR2, those cars like the C West Razor Sylvia, they all kind of are in that same, I guess, like class where they're not Le Mans, they're not like race cars that are have like 400 horsepower or anything. It's like the rally car specs. The To me, the Impreza rally car prototype is the most balanced. I think, in my opinion, the Escort and the Focus, I think, have a better top speed, but they don't have the acceleration that the Impreza rally car does. So, in my thoughts, the Impreza rally car 2001, this guy that I'm driving now, is the best all-around rally car. But I would love to hear y'all's opinions on that, because everybody has their loyalties to their car, and I'm sure I'm not as knowledgeable about this as other people. But I've just driven all of them, and not very long, but I've driven all the rally cars and tried to compare them, and I just kind of feel like, in terms of handling characteristics, top speed, acceleration off the line, and acceleration as you're going down the road at like 100, the rally car seems to be like an all-around really good car. Um, Definitely other cars have more acceleration off the line. Definitely other cars have more power and probably even more handling characteristics. But I think just the overall balance, the Impreza Rally car is really good. So it's probably worth it to get this car at the beginning of the game, because if you get this car at the beginning, if you get all gold in the rally, you automatically can unlock the rally cars. If you get all the rally car, if you get through the rally races, you eventually win. I don't remember which rally race it is, but one of them gets you the Escudo. I think it's if you get all golds in the rally championship, which means if you just complete that whole portion of the game, you get the Escudo. And when you unlock the Escudo early in the game, you kind of destroy everybody. It's a similar idea in my other new starter guide videos where you get like a Formula One at the beginning, or you get like the Viper GTS R at the beginning. If you get the Escudo early in the game, you're going to destroy everything. You're going to beat all the cars. You'll be in the Sunday Cup using an Escudo. And that's kind of hilarious to think about. So the Escudo is really good, and I think it's worth it to use the Impreza, and it's actually worth trying to unlock this car. I didn't have the patience to, or my controller was also not very good, so that's another reason why. But the Impreza to me is worth getting because it just directly leads you to getting the Escudo, and also you can use it in what race I'm using now, the GT World Cup. In the beginner race, you generally race against rally cars and tune-up cars like the C West Razor and the Autobacks MR2. You generally race them in that GT World race, so that's why if you get the Impreza rally car, you kind of be in league with other cars that are about your stamina, power, and handling and everything. So I think the Impreza is actually really worth getting. Like, it's realistically possible to get. I just didn't. By that point, I was so over the licenses that I didn't try. But I think it would be worth it to unlock the Impreza. Like, I think it's worth it obviously to unlock every car at the beginning, but it will take you some more time for sure when you're using the to get the Vanquish, to get the Nissan Z, and to get the Viper GTSR. Those cars are going to be a lot harder to get than the Impreza Rally car. So I would place, like, in my original list, I definitely had the RX-8 as the highest because of the fact that the RX-8 is a good balance of being powerful and relatively easy to obtain. I would actually put the Impreza before the Z in that lineup because of the fact that the Impreza is, I think, quicker off the line. It's a rally car, so it's going to be really fast. It's able to unlock you the Escudo, which the Nissan Z, I mean, you could do that, but it's not a rally car. It's going to be a little bit harder to use the Nissan Z. I don't even know if you can buy rally dirt tires for the Z, but you definitely can with the rally car. Then you'll be able to unlock that Escudo, and then you'll be able to kick some butt. So I actually would put the Impreza above the Nissan Z and the Viper GTSR. I would probably put this car as the second most like efficient use of your time at the start of the game if you want to get into racing quickly. I think it would be easier to get the all gold on the rally as opposed to all golds on International B or A or S, because those are all just really, really time consuming. Unless you're just like really, I mean, I'm sure there are people out there who are super good at this game and actually do that pretty quickly, but I am not that good at this game. I don't, I'm not trying to be the best ever, but yeah. So I couldn't do it. But if you can, more power to you. But I think in terms of actual efficiency, usage, and I do just like the look of the Impreza Rally car prototype. It's a very unique car because it's not like it's like, I think, I don't know if it's actually a real car. I know they eventually made an Impreza rally car of this generation, but in Gran Turismo 3, there was two unique cars that were prototypes, and it was this one and then the Evolution 7 rally car prototype. So it's pretty cool to just have a car that has the word prototype in the name. That's just my opinion there. But I like the Impreza. I've always really loved the Impreza rally car and just the Impreza in general, all the way back to the first gen. So personally, I know I'm biased towards the Impreza rally car, but I also think just viewing it logically and thinking about time consumption, I think it's worth it to pursue getting the rally car prototype more than the Z or the GTSR or the Vanquish. And now the last car that I totally forgot about, and this one is a doozy to unlock at the beginning, but you can do it. It's the Esperante GTR 1. Such a good car, but goodness gracious, the unlocking process for this car is hard. You have to go into arcade mode, and I'm sure this is not a spoiler to anybody, but I'm just going to say it in case someone maybe hasn't seen it. You have to go into the time trials in the arcade mode and beat all the gold times. Now this seems like it'd be pretty easy, and it actually is pretty. I've only done one of them so far. I've done Midfield Raceway, I think, but if not, I'll do it again. And that'll be a video I'll do at some point because I'm sure y'all will enjoy watching me fail a million times on these videos. But these are all relatively doable until you get to the last one. This one I've just tried for fun a couple times. Complex String is like a 5-minute course, and it's really intricate. But if you can manage to get all the golds in the time trials, you unlock in the simulation mode this Panos Esperante GTR 1, which again would be crazy to unlock early in the game. It's such a good car. It's a little bit hard to control. It's a little bit slidey, if you will. But it's a great car, and I've used it a bunch on my videos. I think it can almost do a wheelie, and it sounds great, looks great. It's a unique car because it actually has like a Road Atlanta logo on the front of it. I think Panos was somewhere in Atlanta, but it's such a good car, and to actually have this car at the beginning of the game would be insane, especially because you would literally not even be. You could literally unlock that car if you didn't even play in the simulation mode. Like you could literally just by accident unlock this car. If you were just like, oh, I just want to do the arcade mode before I get to the simulation mode, you would actually have an Esperante at the beginning, and that would be a pretty inspiring thing to get someone interested in playing the simulation mode if they give you a freaking Panos Esperante at the start. So the Panos is a great car. It's an American car, so you can actually use it in like American races that have the restriction. I'm pretty sure you can, because it's technically an American car. So it's pretty awesome. It is a little bit hard to control. I've just noticed that it doesn't handle as well as other cars in its class. And I mean, if you look at the AI, they certainly agree because the Esperante always spins out everywhere when it doesn't on every other car doesn't. But the Esperante is very fast, very slow off the line because it's so powerful. But then in its late gears, it flies, and it sounds great, and I think it looks great. I really like the way it feels to drive this car. It's just got a lot of power. Again, when you think about practically, like, is this car worth pursuing at the beginning of the game? I would probably say no. I mean, if you want it, go for it, but that time trial on Complex String alone is just a migraine waiting to happen. So, like, you drive that Panos on, you drive that Roof RGT over and over and over again on Complex String, and you get that time, then you flaunt this car like you never, you should. You should flaunt it because that's worth telling people. If you get this car at the beginning of the game, I am so much respect for you because this car is so hard to unlock at the beginning, and you get it later, which I obviously did because there's no way I was going to try to get that. It's crazy to use this car at the beginning, so you would be able to win everything ever, and it would be so worth it. Um, I think it's probably better to get this than to use the Viper, than to use the Nissan Z, the Vanquish. I would even put this above every other car in the game that you could unlock early because it's just so fast, untuned. I mean, obviously I have it tuned right now, but it's just so fast. It's definitely the best car that you can have at the beginning of the game, untuned, so that you can imagine the possibilities of what you can unlock using it, and then you can obviously just keep using it, tune it up even more, and then just play through the whole game using an Esperante. So it's an amazing car, and in terms of actual performance, this is by far the best car you can get at the beginning. But as that makes sense, it's really hard to unlock this car. So I'd love to hear your stories about how you unlocked this car, but I don't have the patience to, and I can do it now that I've beaten the game. I'll try to do the time trials and show y'all some bloopers, I'm sure. I haven't done it yet, but I think I'm going to start to focus on the arcade mode in this game now for a bit, just to kind of take a break from always doing like the win stuff. Um, this car is amazing though, and I definitely think it's worth doing, but it would be such a pain if you like did the time trial for Complex Dream and you were short by like 100, like 1/10 of a second. Just imagine that and tell me you don't want to unlock this card, because I don't want to unlock this card at the thought of that, because that sounds absolutely painful. But the Esperante is a glorious car. I very much enjoy it and I respect it a lot. It's one of my favorite cars to use in the game, based a lot on appearance and sound and just like aesthetic of having a car that's so unique looking. Um, Definitely, I'll make a video at that at some point too. But the Esperante is so good. I love the Esperante, and I think it would be worth it. But it's so funny to imagine unlocking this car and just. I respect you if you have already unlocked this car this way. I just unlocked it in the middle of simulation mode. I don't remember what race it is, but yeah, you can unlock it and then do basically everything in the game. You can do so many endurance races with this car. You can do so much with this car. So in reality, you could almost beat like 60% of the game using just the Esperante, and that would be hilarious to think about. But I didn't do that, and I respect you if you did, because this car's crazy. So yeah, the Esperante, give it a shot. And I'll be at the end of that. So I just like to show it a little bit while I'm driving around. Thank y'all so much for watching, and thanks again to Mr. Smash Boy for reminding me of cars I totally forgot to talk about in my last part. So I'll call this either bonus part or part 3. We'll see. But yeah, this game is great, and that's pretty much, I think that's every car you can actually get at the beginning. So yeah, it's pretty awesome that they give you so many options when you don't have that many cars in this game. There's really not a lot of cars in this game because they went for quality over quantity, which I appreciate. But those are the cars you can start out with, and my goodness, are they good. So thank y'all, and I hope you have a great day.